Or I'd finish the night before and I'd be like, there's just no way I can do that again tomorrow. It's not that the pain started to get less, is that my mind learned how to manage that pain better.
You said you did this because you say that there's an epidemic of obesity in America, particularly childhood obesity.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying that there were people walking around with blood pressure and heart rates that were higher than even some that you had on this journey that you went through. What motivated you to do that for them? I mean, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've got, like I said, I got 5 kids, all in elementary school, and because of the nature of what I do, I'm very active in the school system, and if you take a look around, it's apparent that there's a problem. It's shocking, and I did a lot of research online to try to see who the best person I could align with was, or the best foundation, and we joined forces with the Jamie Oliver Foundation. And they do a great job with educational pieces, teaching kids what real food is, working with the school systems. You know, people were worried about my health and the stress that I was going to be putting on it. And the reality is I'm a trained athlete. We put a lot of thought and a lot of time into this. And I was using the best foods and the best supplements and the best of everything and the best treatments. The people need to worry about their brothers, their neighbors, their parents. These people are walking around that have obesity issues. They're walking around with heart problems and diabetes, and they're probably functioning at a an unsafe level with their heart rates and their blood pressures, more so than I am. But the scary part is they're doing it 365 days a year. I was only doing it for 50 days, and they're doing it 365 days a year, and they're not fueling their bodies properly, and their stress levels are super high. And so it's just tragic to know that this is happening out there. And the biggest problem that people are doing, from my perspective, is they focus so much on the treatment once they have the issues, and people need to shift their focus more onto the prevention. It's way cheaper, it's way less painful, and it's just readily available. We just need to focus more on real foods and taking our time to educate and use what's out there, and also to move our bodies and be more active. We talk about health from the inside out, and how weight loss and heart conditions and all of those things are just a simple byproduct. Those things will just take care of itself. Now, one of the things that people don't do is take the time. They don't give the body enough time to adjust and to allow your body to trust what you're doing. I mean, we've as a society, we've beaten our bodies up for 10, 15, 20 years, and then we expect a 90-day diet to fix everything. And really, we just need to focus on a complete lifestyle change, and just the smallest of changes at a time. I talk a lot about being a B+ average. People shoot for perfection, and to me, perfection will ultimately put you on a path for failure every single time. And if I hate seeing people go for an A+ for a month, and then an F for 6 months, and then an A+ for a month, and then an F for 6 months. That gets nobody anywhere. And if people would just say, look, I'm a B+ average all the time, nobody's perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And as long as we do those mistakes, or allow ourselves some cheat days, or gives ourselves some rewards, that doesn't mean it's over and we can't get right back on it. And so I mean, I was out there and we posted pictures of me eating pizza and enjoying some ice cream. I mean, that's okay, because the majority of the time we were fueling with real food and real, great supplements and things like that. And so I was a B+ average out there, and that's what allowed me to get through 50 events in 50 days. And people need to apply that to their everyday lives. Just, man, stop shooting for perfection, because it'll ultimately kill you.
Well, you said you had to consume 8,000 calories a day.
Yeah, I got sick of eating food. In the first week or so, I lost 7 pounds, and we just said we can't sustain that going forward. We're gonna, we just can't perform if we continue on that weight loss. And so we readjusted with my proteins, and we adjusted what types of food we were eating. And I mean, they just kept throwing it at me. It was one of the harder things I had to do, was consume that amount of food. But once we did that, we put the weight back on, and then we were able to maintain my starting weight throughout the entire journey.
But just quickly, what kind of foods, what were the mainstay foods that you were eating on a day, but to get that many calories?
Yeah, I mean, breakfast, I'd start with 2 bowls of oatmeal, and we would put nuts and coconut and agave and everything in the morning, and then I would do my swim, and I would come out, and I would have eggs and bacon and pancakes and hash browns, and we would just, I would consume 2,000 to 3,000 calories before I'd get on the bike. And on the bike, I would do just my Energy Lab nutrition, which was my hydration, and then halfway through the bike ride, they would be giving me sandwiches and wraps, and I was eating real food. And then when we'd get to the breaks between the bike and the run, I would have an entire meal, and the meal would consist some days of a porterhouse steak, or a chicken burrito, or just a salad. But I was eating real food, and I think it was because of the variety that we introduced. My body just got used to processing food during activity level, and then every night before I would go to bed, I would have a full meal as well. And so we got most of our meals in while I was stopping, but I got good at eating on the bike too.
So, doctors, athletes, professionals, a lot of people said there was no way you could do this. It was so far out there. What do you say to the doubters now?
When we started, it was an overwhelming majority that said we couldn't do this. Doctors said it was not possible. Athletes said it wasn't possible. I think we changed a lot of people's minds of what the human mind and the spirit is capable of doing in the body. I don't care what people think. I care. I care what my family thinks. I care what my sponsors think. Haters are going to hate, and that's their issue. That's their ego. My goal was to go out and raise money for charity, which we did that, and it was to empower people, and we did that too. We literally get hundreds of emails every day of people sharing their experiences and their stories, and how our journey affected theirs. And for us as a team, really, this journey is the starting point for us. It now gives us the platform to go out and to continue to talk about the epidemic, to teach about it, to continue to empower. My goal is to go around to corporations and schools and just continue to spread the message. And so for me, it's just a blessing to have survived the 50 days, because now I get that opportunity for the rest of my life to try to have that impact.
I have to ask, how was the bike?
Yeah,
Bikes.
the bikes are amazing. People asked, how many mechanicals have you had, and how many issues have you had, and how have you had to rotate through how many bikes? And I was like, we haven't had any mechanicals, and I've used my TT bike 95% of the time. We had several backup bikes, thinking that we were going to have all of these problems, and we were going to have to always have a bike in the shop in all the different states, and it just never ended up being that way. We just stayed on top of the maintenance of them and kept them running sharp. I even crashed on the one and just dusted it off and kept riding it through the next states. The bikes were unbelievable.
So we got you that new road bike right as you started. You trained on the other road bike, you trained on the TT bike, got you the new road bike. Differences between the bikes, what do you feel on them?
Yeah, I ended up not riding the road bike that I trained on, and just when I used the backup bike, we exclusively rode the new 2015 road bike, and it was seamless to go from one to the next. And then it was interesting because we had support and crew members come in, and they'd pick up the bikes, and we'd switch out the pedals, and they would ride them. And so, we had multiple riders every day on the bikes. So we put more than just the 7,000, however many miles I put on them. We put a lot of miles on those bikes. And I couldn't believe it. I only had 7 flat tires, no mechanicals. What shocked me too is we only had to change out the the Di2 battery one time. I mean, it'll last 25 Ironmans. It was unbelievable. Everything just worked seamless, and I couldn't have been happier.
So this was so far out there. I think a lot of people just couldn't even believe it as it was happening. I know I talked with a lot of people that were like, what? I can't even comprehend that. I don't even understand that that's happened. Do you think some of the media and some of the big national things, is that what's maybe going on there too? I mean, I know you're getting a lot of them that are talking now, and it's getting more and more coming out, but was it just that you were so far out there off the path?
Yeah, I think, you know, we made the announcement, and it was just so over the top and unbelievable that we kind of got disregarded and pushed to the side. And even as we progressed through the country and started knocking them off, the media, the big media, still didn't want to get involved because they were like, well, he still has so far to go. We really didn't see any of the bigger media come forward until after race 45 even, and not until I actually finished. I think it was they were still scared of me, like failing like deep into the campaign, but now we're starting to see it come on. And the only reason I care about the big media is to bring attention to the foundation. I don't want any accolades. I don't want any awards. I don't want anything. We just want to raise money and empower people. So that's the only reason why big media helps.
Well, some people think you should be Athlete of the Year, Athlete of the Decade, or the Century. But final question: you talked about a little bit about it before, but where do you go from here?
Yeah, I don't want to be Athlete of the Year. I want to be Father of the Year. That's all that's important to me. And what's next for us? That was one of the biggest questions we got. It was actually the question I hated the most when I was out there, because I was so focused on being present that I was focused on the next step or the next event, always within that state. But now, what's next is a great question. And for me, it's going around and continuing talking about the message. It's continuing to raise funds and awareness. It's continuing to push that envelope. It's assembling a pro team to go out and continue to race with some of the best athletes in the world. It's about wrapping up the documentary so that can speak beyond the 50 years. It's about doing a book so that we can continue to inspire and continue to raise money for the foundation. We've created a brand, and so there's 10 things that's what's next. And I'm excited to bring my family along. I'm excited to bring my sponsors along. And literally the journey is just beginning.
Awesome. We love you. Thanks so much.
All right, man, awesome.
Get a hug.
You bet. I don't want any accolades. I don't want any awards. I don't want anything. I don't want to be Athlete of the Year. I want to be Father of the Year.